Hey T Diadem, AJ, Christian, and Steven here. We're out here play testing the new Axis racket. We're gonna see what's in this thing that helped get Alina Svitolina to the quarterfinals of the 2025 Australian Open. Let's see it. Let's go.
What are you hitting, AJ?
I'm playing the 98 right now.
All right.
What about you?
I'm hitting the Axis team. I start from the bottom up.
Yeah, I started with my favorite.
Okay. What Svitolina's using, right?
Yeah. Quarterfinalist, Australian Open 2025. I like it a lot more than been playing the Elevate 98 for about, what, 6 years?
Oh, really?
And now playing this one, I like the extra, you get a little extra juice. I don't really feel.
So I was on the Nova the last couple of years. Nova 100, then Nova Team actually. And I would have never thought I can play with this type of family. To be very honest, I didn't fit
like,
necessarily my playing style, but I really fell in love with this.
You mean like the spin that you would get from it, or?
It's such a comfortable feel, first of all. Easy to maneuver, but then incredible spin. I mean, look at that shot. Yeah, that will work.
I'll take that. Yeah, it's a, I really feel like I don't lose anything from what I'm playing with my Elevate 98. I feel like practically every part of my shots have either gotten easier to hit, better launch angle, and a bit more power, especially when I'm kind of moving out wide, which definitely helps, as you know.
You know, when you think about, I mean, you've been using the Elevate. It's similar racket, similar specs, similar geometry in what Alina's been using. So when we're in court in Geneva, I didn't necessarily think that this is going to be her racket, and she hit 5 balls with it and said she loves this. And it looks like you can hit with that as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something, as I've talked to the players, coaches, mainly a lot of the
sorry, Steven,
the retailers that I work with, or that work with Diadem, and kind of noted that not only that kind of personal story, but also it's going to be a great opportunity for players who are typically using a more control style frame, but just want a little bit more, gain more without sacrificing much of anything else. So I'm excited. I know a lot of people that I've shared the racket with have felt similar things and are excited to kind of get it to their friends, customers, players.
Yep.
Some of the coaches that I know are had some great feedback from some of the junior and college players they're working with. So,
but you know what's the most surprising part is, despite the power and the spin, you don't lose control at all.
I can attest to that.
It's comfortable.
Hi.
You still feel like you have full control despite the power and the spin, though.
Yeah. Like for me, like you can definitely feel a big difference, like you mentioned, between power control, Elevate Nova, both control family, power family. And for me personally, trying to play a Nova is a give and take. There you go, I'll trade you.
Let's switch.
All right. But here, I feel like it's been all give. I've received a lot from making the switch. Let's see what the team's got here. I got the team 100.
All right, we just switched rackets, Stephen.
280 grams. This is gonna be for our up and coming juniors. Next Grand Slam champions. Ah.
Careful, Stephen,
And
the ball.
the weekend warriors looking for extra spin.
Yeah. It's such a stable racket. Easy to maneuver. Nice following through. Like, look at that. That will work.
I mean, what comes to mind to me, which for the team, which is a 280, I don't know too many rackets I could swing pretty full all out and play like it's a normal racket that I'm hitting with.
Right.
I mean, from a stability standpoint.
Well, it's foam filled all the way through. That will mostly do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Diadem's been known for with the different generations of the FS system is definitely that more solid, more plush feeling that you get from what the FS system brings. But to implement that in this frame at this weight class, and for me to still swing similar as I was with the Axis 98 and still keep the ball in play and
I think part of the
everything. I mean, it kind of just is. I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I mean, like as a coach, if you were like a teaching pro and teaching all day long, hitting thousands and thousands of balls, and this is like a great racket to be kind of like your teaching racket almost, you know?
Oh, for sure. 280 grams, easy swinging.
Yeah, you can feed all day
comfortable
long
on the
with
arm.
it.
You can still feel it. I think part of the reason why it's so controllable is the precision strike zone, moving the string bed or moving the sweet spot up a little bit. Where we're moving the sweet spot up a little bit, I think that's exactly what this type of player is looking for. And that's what drives the extra control here, despite the fact it's powerful and provides spin.
Yeah, and going into that, the precision strike zone, I mean, the easiest way, what we've used so far is ask a player where they break strings, and you're looking at it, and it's typically within 2 or 3 strings, either left or right of center, and more upper into the string bed. So, and I think I haven't talked to everybody in the tennis world yet, but I've talked to a few hundred and used that example, and it's everybody's pointing within that range, and that's where we've shifted that string bed up into, is that you're typically breaking one of these top strings, like I said, left or right, 2 plus or minus 2 strings, and it's can definitely give you that control and that extra little bit of spin and power. And
it's a great playing racket, really.
Christian,
Yeah.
how important are spin frames for like a clay court player?
Oh, they're super good.
Do you find that the spin frames are more popular in Europe than more of the control frames?
Yeah, because it's all about getting the ball in play, getting a good height over the net. So look at the Spanish players and what type of rackets they're playing. Making sure you get the rally going, because there are missed bounces in front of you. So you want to make sure you clear the net without losing power.
what
Diadem to add a spin frame into the lineup?
Well, when you look at the lineup, as you mentioned, we had control, we had power, we had comfort with the Dream, power with the Nova, control with the Elevate. And one thing that we found, obviously, as the players are developing and the game is, changing quite a bit, players are looking for more ways to make things a little bit easier to take control of points. And a couple ways you can do that is obviously with the trajectory of the ball, the spin, and some added power. As I don't think there's been a player that's changed rackets in the past decade that's gone really from a power to a more control frame, like giving up that it's too powerful. I think everybody's looking for, how do I gain a little bit more? How do I tweak my racket slightly to gain that extra little edge, to be able to penetrate the court, keep the opponent on the defense, and maintain, attacking through the court. So we just kind of found that it was just in the evolution of the brand.
What players were asking for?
Yeah, you've seen it. You were on court with high-level juniors, pro players, college players, and seeing where they were, what their needs were. And so
spin frames are probably the most popular type of racket at the college level, high-level juniors, and that Futures and Challengers tour. So.
Yeah, I definitely think if you pulled the data and looked at it, that you would. Well, I know we did, because that's why we're having this conversation. That's why this racket exists. So it's what I'm just amazed at, from being, somebody myself playing a more control style frame, just after playing previous sprint frames or whatnot, but just what the FS system and the dual foam injection process that goes throughout this racket, how much stability that it adds and makes this spin / somewhat powerful frame still feel good and have somewhat of a control orientedness to it.
I think that's why it's important to have the 98 and 100 in this line, because there are going to be players that want that added spin, that are looking for the more control side of things. You go 98,
yeah,
16-20 string pattern.
For sure.
There are players that are wanting a little bit more power.
Yeah.
So you go 100, 16-19 string pattern. So there's something in that Axis lineup for everybody.
Well, yeah, if you just take our two families, for example, Elevate, 98, I want a little more spin, just a little bit more pop, a little more forgiveness, Axis 98. Sure. You're playing Nova 100, Nova 100 Tour, looking for a bit more spin, still, but gaining a bit more control, right. But not sacrificing much power. Right. You got the Axis 100. So, and that's pretty cool. And then obviously, we brought the team in because we know, the future is the younger generation, the ones coming up. So being able to put in a spec that made sense for them to be able to play with was one of the most important parts of what we were doing with this lineup, because Diadem we're grassroots. We're building from the ground up, trying to help grow the game and get players involved in playing tennis at an early age, and as competitive as they want to go. And I think something that we always talk about within the brand, it's somebody wants to get better. Like, that's it. It's whether they want to play high school tennis.
11 years old.
Yeah, for sure.
We need a racket for that.
Totally.
Axis team.
Couldn't have said it better.
Thing that's not included in the Axis is grunt.
Is that sold separately, or? All right. Nice shot.
So I'm hitting the Axis 98 right now. It's the racket from Elina Svitolina. Got a really good clearance on the net. Nice spin, great power, and still feel like I know where the ball is going, so it's gonna be a really good racket. I'm not missing anything. The racket really helps, that's great. Oh boy. One of the coolest things is how much power and spin you have, and at the same time you have this control. This is so good.